Hi, I'm Eric.
I'm Jason.
And I'm Chris.
And we're I Beat It First. Yay!
Yay!
Woohoo!
Happy almost New Year. Happy end of year.
Jesus.
Happy holidays. Happy all the things, everybody. We
Happy
made
Toyotathon.
it. Happy Toyotathon. We are
days.
through it all. Honda days.
Happy Honda days. Yeah.
How much consumer whores are we that those are the things that we remember? And then it's even more sad. It's just like, you said it. And I was just like, of course.
Yeah.
Toyotathon.
Of course.
Naturally.
Just
like,
gotta have that crazy guy that loves his fucking Corolla and loves his RAV4 more than he loves his wife.
Fucking Pat.
Yeah,
man.
Pat.
Like, that guy got so lucky. That it's just like, how many commercials do you know out there? I mean, you can name off like maybe 5 off the top of your head.
They've done so many of those.
Yeah.
Like Pat, like he's been the spokesperson, I guess, still for Toyota for 10 years. I mean, it's insane. It's purely insane that he's been able to just be like, hi, I just like Toyota a whole lot. And that's his whole personality. That's his whole persona. And it's just like, good on him. There's nothing remarkable about him. It's not like his acting's amazing. There's no reason. He's not like, hey, Toyota saved my life because now I don't murder people because of Toyota. Great. Nothing happened. It was just like some actor that they found. And the CEO was just like, that man. that fucking man is going to be the face of Toyota until he dies. I can't imagine.
Is Toyota.
That man is Toyota. Like, it blows my mind. Like, because you think about it, like, who other big spokesperson has been around that long? It's just like, all right, the first one I can think of was like Flo from Progressive, but she hasn't even been around that long. Jared, but he has a bad past and stuff like that.
Yeah.
This Pat guy is just like, no, he's been around for, I want to say at least 10 years. And I don't think anyone else has come close to being that long of a spokesperson without being that icon. Like, obviously you have like Ronald McDonald or Jack from Jack in the Box, but those aren't that person. Anyone could be in that suit, right? So I don't know.
It's funny because I'm trying to look up the net worth of the actor Pat Finn, and it keeps pulling up Patrick Finn, who is the COO of Twist Bioscience Corp. But his real name is Pat. Yeah, his real name is Pat. It's Pat Finn. And I'm trying to see, like I want to know how long he's been doing.
Check his IMDb.
Those commercials.
Would commercials show up on IMDb?
Let's see here. TV commercials for Holiday Inn Express. It just says Toyota commercials and print ads.
Radio too. I mean, the dude.
TV commercials
Toyota.
for Healthy Choice in 2008. Commercial for Golden Corral in 2009.
Yeah. So there you go. He's been doing it for over 10 years.
I think that he has. I think that he's been doing it longer than Ronan's been on this earth.
Insane. That just blows my mind. Like, good on him. Like, yeah, that's a golden check. You sign that and be like, income coming in. All I have to do is say like stupid lines in these ridiculous ads, and you're gonna pay me money, and then whatever you get from that, sign me up. Sign me the fuck up. I will do that. Maytag wash machines, because I know clean. There you go. Consider that my.
He doesn't know clean at all. Everybody, trust me.
My background's blurred because it's so clean in here. Obviously.
It's the cleanest.
The cleanest.
Man, it's like I'm trying to go through. I'd probably have to actually like spend too much time actually reading in order to do it to find out. But it's been a long time. Anyways. Welcome in, everybody. Happy all the things. Yes. Happy all the things. It is the 2022 year in review, our 2022 year-end extravaganza, and I can't fucking believe that 2022 is over already.
Dude, it has been a wild ride. It still feels like that 2020 was last year. It's still...
Yeah.
I don't even know where to begin. There's been so much games, so much time, and yet it still feels like that there was not enough games, not enough time. I don't know. It's been definitely I don't even know what to say about it. Like a Pandora's box of a year.
It's been a year.
Been a year.
I mean, it's still a better year than 2020 and 2021. True. Like, in the grand scheme of years goes, like, we could actually go outside and do stuff. We could see people. We could hug people.
Wait for that resurgence. I remember last year, this time, we were all like, man, China's got this, like, crazy problem going on. Whatever. China will get it contained. No problem. And then March came around. Womp, womp.
Hey, guess what? China's got this crazy thing going on. China's going to get it together. We don't have to worry about... Oh, wait.
We don't yeah. It's definitely not going to repeat itself.
No.
No way.
No, not at all.
We totally learned from our past experiences. We are
100%. Yeah, we're much better for it. We're smarter. We're wiser. I don't think we have anything to worry about. Jason's still trying to whittle at his list right now. He's crossing out numbers and reordering it. Because even though he told me, he's like, no, I'm pretty good on mine. I know that he's just sitting there going, no, wait, Eric was right.
Well, this conversation about Toyota-thon was just like, no, wait a minute.
Pat Finn, huh?
Yeah. So right in for actor of the year, Pat Finn.
Right?
It's fucking amazing.
Honorable mention.
Yeah, I gotta find that guy. Pat Finn. I gotta give him a handshake. Okay, so if you guys are new to the podcast, I doubt that we have anybody new, but hey, we'll explain it anyways. Normally we have like another person on here, but we decided we're just gonna keep it nice and simple this year, and it's just gonna be these three assholes. Jason counts as three.
Yes.
But we will do our top five. We'll go
Oscars.
round robin, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Everyone will go through that number, so on and so forth until we get to our number 1. But we do have honorable mentions.
What do we do?
So maybe they didn't make it onto the list, but they were still good games that you probably should have played if you didn't already. Chris, what do you got?
Cult of the Lamb. Good art style, had some fun. But didn't quite make the list as if you kind of played, you kind of get too caught up in one thing and you can't really do a lot more to it. It gets kind of it's more managing of stuff and picking up a bunch of shit. But it's fun.
And it's just picking up a bunch of shit.
Yes.
Like,
lot of
basically,
shit.
at that point, it's worse than picking up after 3 Rottweilers. Like, it's just
It's nonstop.
shit
It's
everywhere. Yeah, it's just shit everywhere. All right. We might come back to Chris. We'll see if he has another one. Jason, what do you got?
My honorable mention is You Suck at Parking. It was easily one of the ones that I was just like, there's no way this game's going to be any good. Played it for 5 minutes. I was just like, this game's fucking amazing. Played it for 20 minutes. And I was like, I'm the best at this game. Played online. I was just like, I'm still the greatest at this game. Played for 5 hours. I'm done.
I love that you were like, you played for like 20 minutes, played for an hour. You're still like, I'm still fucking amazing at this game. Then people woke up.
Yep.
Yep.
Because that was
like,
like one of the
I
first
suck
games
at
that we
parking.
played on our 24-hour stream. And once people on the East Coast started waking up and playing it, we immediately started getting schooled by some people. Jason still did well. He's still
I played it by myself a little bit
Yep.
later on too.
Yeah.
But it definitely,
both.
you get to a point where it's just like there's only so much that game can do. It's the change up isn't so drastic, but it was just wildly enjoyable. And I
Mhm.
will say, to your point, Eric, playing with people like in the same room or on a split screen is like 88% of that game. Like it was so much more fun, like bantering with you guys and playing around, even though we didn't really even talking strategy or anything like that.
Mhm.
Just being able to play like a technical couch co-op was just super fun to do again in 2022. And playing online by yourself, the game's still entertaining and still a lot of fun. It's a completely different mechanic, and it brought me back a lot of nostalgic feelings from old racer games back in the day, like the Micro Machines racing game, if you guys ever remember
yeah.
playing that one.
Mhm.
But it fizzles. It's like, okay, I think I'm done now, and I'm okay with that because at the end of the day, it was still a lot of fun.
Hey, you know what? It costs, like, in the grand scheme of hours played on Game Pass, it costs maybe 20 cents to play that game. I'd say that's worth 20 cents.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. My honorable mention was a really good game that probably would have moved up higher, and it probably would have got more play if they didn't fuck up an update that completely broke our save game data on it, and that's V Rising. V Rising, it was considered early access when it first came out. It was fun. It gave me like enough of a reason to play a resource management type game and whatnot. And I'm not very big on those games, but I had a ton of fun playing with everybody. We had our own server. Everything was going great. Then they did an update that broke our online server, and we lost our save data completely. It just corrupted it, no matter what we did, and there was nothing we could do about it. And we all had hours upon hours worth of work and world building and everything like that. And it was at that point that we all went, I really don't feel like rebuilding that world again. And they did it to them. They did it to us. Like, they did it to themselves. They did it to us. We would have continued to play if it didn't break. And once they did that, though, it ruined the fun of the game, because it's not one of those games where you want to go back through and kill Tristan again. I mean, he is an asshole, and I did enjoy I enjoyed owning his ass when I was like level 60 and he was only level 30 and just murdering him. But going through it at the low level set was just not as fun. So I think that one would have been better. And from what I heard, like it still continued to be good, but it just killed it for me halfway through the year. Not even halfway through the year. Chris, you got any other ones?
I think that's it for honorable mentions.
I think that's it for honorable mentions.
I
will.
don't really want to go too many deep, just because I could sit here and talk all day about all these small games that I played a whole bunch of.
I got one more then, and it might have been the cutest and saddest game of the year, and that was The Cruel King and the Great Hero. Yeah. And Chris plays some sad games. And this game didn't look like it was sad. It looked like it was just straight up 100% cute until every time someone came in, they're like, I don't understand. Why is it so sad? And then I'd explain the hook to them. And they're like, fuck, Jesus. And then the little dragon, or not the little dragon, the big evil dragon following the kid around and like doing all the magic for the kid. It was completely ingenious. It was like the storytelling and everything like that they did was really good. It just wasn't enough to be like a top 5 game. But it was a great game. I think people should play it. Like hands down, one of my favorite games, just not top 5 worthy. All right, who's got some stinkers? Anyone got a stinker?
So, well, I think we should. I think stinkers I kind of want to like save up for.
You want to savor the stinkers?
I think I want to do the
Jason wants to hold it in so that he can release that fart like right at the end.
Exactly. Like, I don't have many. I don't have many.
Very, very nice, Chris. Good job.
Well done. Well done. Not many, but the hate was strong, so I kind of wouldn't mind holding on to it for a little bit, because like I want to make sure that I'm thinking of this right and to make sure people understand what we're doing here too. And that is that this is our official top 5 of the year. Each one of us is doing our own top 5s. We don't talk about this beforehand. We don't talk or collaborate beforehand about anything. I have no idea what Eric's number 1 or Chris's number 1 is. I have ideas because just obviously we know what we've all been playing because we've talked about it in this podcast every single 2 weeks for the last like 800 years. If you don't know, check it out at IBIF.com.
Last 11, well, no, not 11 years. The website's been around 11 years. It's the last like 6 years.
Good
at
grief.
Minimum 6
Good
years.
grief.
We've done a lot of
6 years
episodes.
of content. That's a lot of episodes. So we have an idea of what we're talking about, or not what we're talking about. We have no idea what we're talking about, but we have an idea of
what we're talking about.
We're going to talk about. But I'm saying all this because I'm actually kind of a little bit more intrigued. At least in the last like 2-3 years, I feel like that the top 5 could be a mixed bag of like the same 7 games. Like it was pretty much just like we knew that this game was going to be on one of our. It was just a matter of what level that we put it at, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This year, however, I feel like that we're going to have 3 very different top 5s.
There might be a couple games that we have in common, but I feel that for the most part, they're going to be completely different lists. And again, this is ours. So, like, I don't think any of us played God of War Ragnarok yet.
Haven't gotten there yet.
So, this is what we actually played. These are the games that either we got review copies for or we went out of our way to play that, hands down, like, are the best games that we played over the year. Because we're not going to give an award to something that we didn't touch. Just because Jeff Keighley decided that these people sucked his dick enough that he was going to give them an award. No, these are our awards for what we deemed as some of the best ones. And I like it this way too, just because of the fact that there are a lot of games that we put on these lists that don't get consideration because they usually get overshadowed by these giant fucking AAA titles. And we don't always go for the AAA like in your face shit. So I think that's good. All right.
Mine's definitely off of that list, so
I'm sure. And we're called I Beat It First for a reason. So I mean that's the whole reason of it all.
Okay, so we're gonna go in alphabetical order. So Chris, me, Jason, which actually is clockwise on on the stream if you're watching this on Twitch, because Chris is in the top left, I'm in the top right, Jason's down at 6 o'clock. All right, so let's get started with number 5. Chris, what is your number 5?
So, my number 5 was one of your honorable mentions, V Rising. I love my Diablo style games and adding the kind of survival and crafting aspect to it. I think it was definitely kind of a nice kind of change of pace. And like I said, we had our own server. I played a shit ton of it. beat all the bosses, got all the recipes unlocked, so pretty much essentially beat the game in a sense. Before we lost our save data.
Yeah.
I would be willing to pick it back up again with more updates and content, stuff like that. But yeah, I really enjoyed V Rising.
Okay, so you bring up a good point, and that is worth noting that they have had a bunch of updates, and they've added on new bosses. They're adding on more. They've got a roadmap out, so you can do it. Again, this was an early release or a early access game that they released, and I mean, to be honest, you throw something on early access, that's your fucking release. I don't care if you've got, like, if you're not at 1.0 yet. You put it out there for the mainstream people to play and pay money for, that's your release. And you get tainted by it, or you blow people away and then you continually make things better. So
and make money. That's the gamble.
Yeah. You make money. That's true, and I'm not holding anything against them. I think it was a great game, as I said, like it was an honorable mention. Yep. I would be willing to try and pick it back up again, maybe, because you can start your own servers and throw like starting points where it's like you start at level 40 type stuff, but we'll have to see. Chris will have to convince me to do that, and then we'll all jump in together. And you can host your own servers on your computer. You don't have to get like a G Portal one like we did. So, you know, it is what it is. All right. I guess that comes to me. And my number 5, which was one of the best games on Xbox Game Pass that you could get, and that is Tunic, which is a Zelda-style, isometric, Dark Souls style cutesy fox game, and I loved it.
You can't get mad when you die.
Yeah, exactly. You actually get mad at yourself when you die, primarily because you killed this cutesy little fox, and it is awesome. They did an amazing job of world building. Jason's talked ad nauseum about this game in his reviews for it, about how amazing it was, how great the music for the game is, the level design, the colors, like everything about it, top fucking notch. It was a great game to play, and it wasn't just an easy romp through. Like, you would get through and you'd have a little bit of trouble, and you'd be like, oh cool, it's fine, I'm going through this, and then all of a sudden you get to a boss battle, you're like, oh fuck, I should have been paying attention to what I was doing. But yeah, Tunic. That was my number 5, and it was free on Game Pass. So if you have Xbox Game Pass, which if you don't have Xbox Game Pass, why don't you have Xbox Game Pass? Like,
it's just the best deal in gaming.
It is.
It's just like, why aren't you? Yeah. I mean, the games that they come out on that. I mean, again, corporate chilling that we're doing. Toyothon brought to you by Game Pass.
We don't get paid by Xbox to say that. In fact, we talk a lot of shit about Microsoft. However, Game Pass still tends to be the best value in gaming and one of the best things for you to get, whether you're a PC or an Xbox player.
Agreed.
Jason.
Oh, my turn. All right, my number 5. I like how we've all kind of like had a little bit of mentions here already, but my number 5 was actually Cult of the Lamb, and I agree with you, Chris. The reason why I docked it when we did the review of it, it was that end game is, you know, if you play it right, end game's just cake, easy. There's not much going on here, and you're kind of just going through the motions and grinding. But up until that point, this was easily one of my favorite games. Just because of the obsession level that was there with it for me. Like, I was literally in the Cult of the Lamb, like wanting to find out more, to get into the world, the story building that was there, and just design it. I like resource management and city planning games, and add in a little bit of combat and roguelike style, and it's just like, man, this game was kind of like made for Jason. And you know what? It was. But you fucked it up at the end. That's why you're only number 5. Still a good game, though.
Yep.
Hey, number 5's still nothing to, you know.
Stay number 5. You beat out a whole shit ton of games.
A shovel of poop at.
Exactly. A lot of poop. So much poop.
So much poop. Like, I can't believe the sheer amount of shit that I had seen cultists eat while watching people stream that game. And I understand, you know, it's funny. That actually, the joke started getting old after a while. I mean, it was one of those things where it gets old, and then it comes back, and it's a little funny again, but then it gets really old again, and then it comes back, and the way it's like that, they went too heavy in on it, I think. I didn't play it at all.
They went too heavy on
but-
all the resources. Like, at the end of the game, you have shit
Yeah.
flowing out of your ears, you have money falling out of your ass, and you have like every single weapon already maxed out, and you have followers praying to you like nobody's business. And it's just like, what do I even need to do here? I've won. I can sit on this pile of shit, my throne, and just have money raked in. And it's just like, I've done it.
Shit
Could you wear a crown of shit upon your liar's chair?
Could not wear a crown of shit.
Oh, Trent Reznor would be so sad.
I know. It's a shame. That's why it's only number 5.
All right. Okay, so that's number 5. All right, so to top it off, Chris had V Rising.
Yep.
All right. I had Tunic and Cult of the Lamb. Okay. Number 4.
So my number 4 was again another, kind of Diablo style game, which was Undecember. Reno made my character.
Diablo's so
not a
hot
cop.
right now.
So hot right now. And so in Undecember, there's no classes. Basically your abilities you can set up your abilities and kind of upgrade them and kind of put them in a little tree and get some powers to get with them, and it's based off of what your weapon you're carrying. And so different abilities have kind of different specials for that. It came out with the demo and then fully released, and there's 10 acts in the game, and each act is easily like hour or 2 to get through. So there's plenty of content before you get to the end game. Next, I think it's like 15 hours just to get through Act 5. So tons of content. It's free to play.
I was gonna say this is a free to play game, right?
Yeah. And so I've thoroughly enjoyed my time with it, and that's why it's number 4 on my list.
So
Wow.
That was one of the things we never really talked about. Like, how do they make money on this? Are there microtransactions in the game? Like, are there things that you can buy? Is it all cosmetic?
Yeah, you can kind of buy like a pass, whatever, to unlock some more stuff as you kind of level up and go through doing like your dailies and stuff like that.
So you can do like you can
buy
get like a battle
cosmetics.
pass and whatnot.
Yeah.
Okay. But I mean, that's not the end of the world. If you could buy a pass and it just gives you extra unlocks and makes it slightly easier, but it's not necessarily a pay to win type game, right?
No. Yeah.
I mean, if anything, Genshin's shown us the way of how like you can make a shit ton of money and not be pay to win and not be predatory with it easily.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. The people that think that Genshin is a pay to win game are idiots, because I've seen people drop a fuck ton of money and have shit teams, and people drop barely any to nothing and have great teams. It's all luck. You got to praise to RNG Jesus when it comes to those things. And like, I guess that would be like one of those things that we could have thrown in as an honorable mention, because like it's an ongoing game of like Genshin, because they've done such a great job with it. And there's a few of those games that have continued to like expound upon that. And yeah, it's like, it doesn't have to be like pay to win for it. You can just make a good game, something with a good story that people are going to want to pay or play. And then they're just like, oh, I get cooler shit if I do this, or I have better chances, but it's not necessarily like you have to spend that much money on it.
Right.
So, all right. Undecember looked cool too. I still don't understand the not a cop joke.
Well,
Not a cop.
it's just because I made my character like basically look like a cop with a little mustache, cop stash. And
Okay.
definitely not a cop.
Definitely not a cop. No, totally. So he's like walking around an undercover cop in the underworld, and he's like, I'm not a cop, trust me. Totally not a cop. Wait a second.
Not a cop.
You have to tell me if you're a cop. No, I don't. And I'm totally not a cop. Okay. So we're going to move on to my number 4. And this one's funny because we were talking about this pre-podcast. Like we weren't saying names, but we were talking about just like placements. And I was like, man, 3, 4, and 5 for me are all really close. But the funny thing is is that I keep going back and forth that 3 should be 5 and 5 should be 3 and vice versa. Like, just like keep swapping back and forth. But number 4 was like, no, yeah, that sits at number 4. Like, I never once had a qualm of like maybe this game should move down to 5. No, for some reason I was just looking at 3 and 5. I'm like, eh. But so my number 4 is Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song, which I don't think anybody else here has played. Primarily because we got a review copy for it and it went on our Epic went on my Epic account, and Epic doesn't allow you to share the way that like Steam does, which really sucks because we've got some games on there that we'd really like to share with each other without having to like log out of our Epic account and log into it. Either way though, great in-depth story, really, really good branching storylines as well, to where you have choices, and there are very definitive choices. If you make this decision, and it tells you, like, you make this decision, there's no going back, and the storyline will branch off, and you cannot recover from this, one way or the other. Like, you are now heading off in a complete direction based off of it. It had 3 main characters that you follow different paths on, each of them having drastically different vampiric powers, and you could kind of like delve into those vampiric powers with the other ones if you put your points and your experience into those. But realistically, it's like if you wanted to do that, you couldn't make a well-rounded vampire. You had to have a vampire that specialized in individualized things. But really good story, good graphics. I mean, it was beautiful. Every now and then you got a little bit of the uncanny valley with faces and they're talking and stuff like that. But beyond that, a fantastic game. It was well worth the wait, because this was many years that this game was announced and just continually waited for it to come on. It's not as bad as Bloodlines 2. I mean, that one, who knows when that's actually going to come out, since it's changed hands for developers and whatnot. But if you love Vampire the Masquerade, I'll say that. So if you like the dark world stuff, this is definitely a must pick up, especially for the story. I think it hands down does some of the best movement with the story and best dialogue that you're going to get from a lot of those games. Even like Werewolf was a fun game, but like story wise, it was really, really good. And dialogue, it was really, really good. It just suffered from a lot of like play and repetitiveness later on. And this game, I don't think got repetitive at all, because you were just continually going through a story. And it's a slow paced game, but it's definitely a play type game. And you're going to spend like an hour to an hour and a half per level. But that's my number 4. Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song.
Very cool. Very cool. My number 4 is kind of like a dark horse and came out of nowhere for me. And it was a late entry as well. And that is actually Ixion, which is my space opera, city building, resource management, travel through the universe game. Obviously, if you can't tell, I like resource management. I love city building, and I love story. Like, those are like some of the big things that I like to get around them. And this thing had a fantastic story, fantastic world building, city building, literally, and exploration that you do in each of your segments and galaxies that you travel around to, along with ever evolving problems that are constantly stacking on you. You have to be moving all the time. If you listen to the review that we did last episode on this, it's akin to Frostpunk. There's a lot going on. I mean, it does ramp up the difficulty pretty quickly. None of the decisions that you really make are anything that's going to be like drastically changing of how the entire game plays out. Like in Frostpunk, where it's just like, hey, if you go totalitarianism, that's going to be dependent on how you run the rest of the game, right? Or if you want children to be workers, that changes on how the rest of the game plays. You can make small decisions, but you can always take them back and move them around. And the decisions that you make on like planets when you're exploring them, they could have consequences, but it's literally just the consequences of that planet or that situation. And then they have little small segments of that could also impact other stuff. So it's nothing nearly as drastic as Frostpunk, but that alone gives you so much more replayability and so much more that you can do to explore, that it actually is a lot of fun to just build cities in space. What really kind of threw it over the line for me, and I didn't talk about this in the review, just because I didn't want to really have it too much of a spoiler, but as I was creating this list, I was like, it's really I gotta bring it up. Just
you can do spoilers now with it. We talked about that.
Yeah,
it's like that's what
That's
what the later stuff is for. It's like these later episodes are like, it's spoiler time, everybody.
Yep.
and it's not so much a spoiler. It's just like, it was so enjoyable to have it happen. And I'm not gonna spoil the actual story behind it, but there's literally a boss fight. Like your city builder exploration game has a boss fight, and it is just like, what the hell? Like that's like I was sitting down there after beating the boss, and I was just like, I fought a boss in a city planning resource management game. Like it's just like, that's just kind of cool. And the way they did it was just well done. I mean, it's not like you're like all of a sudden sitting with your joystick, like shooting lasers and shit like that at some enemy and stuff like that, or it's an action game. Of course not. But it became its own other resource that you had to manage, and that was the battle. So it was kind of just like, kind of neat on how you had to be like, yeah, you're the administrator. You're not fighting any war. You're not the grunt running down there and doing whatever. You're not even the person building the weaponry and all that jazz. You're deciding where to spend the resources.
You're not even the governor or the ruler. No. You're the shitty middle management civil servant that is just
you're basically God. You're basically God. But this
no. You're the shitty middle management government servant that is just figuring out where things place and running and just like being like, yeah, we should do this and this and this.
It's kind of true. Actually, a good point that you bring up is it reminded me a lot of Ender's Game. If you ever read the book and then unfortunately watched the movie, where it's just like you had no idea of what you're really doing until you're actually doing it. So it's kind of like that feeling. You're just like, yeah, I'm just administrator. I just see what's going on. I'm not actually doing the things they're doing. I'm just telling you where to spend your time and resources. It was there. And really cool in how they did that. I hate seeing the reviews on Steam and stuff like that. People really hating this game. A lot of people saying it's just too hard, which is
it's a resource management game.
You know, like, yeah, exactly. It's not going to be fast. It's not going to be like you can't rush through everything. You got to make decisions and build up and not build something if you don't have the resources to do so. Not that hard. So a lot to manage, a lot going on. But I will say it was the first time I ever had like my heart pumping from a city management game. So that was kind of cool. And that's why it's my number 4.
Nice.
That's good. No, I like it. And again, this is, we're going to get into a lot of games that are vastly different for lists and whatnot. Because like neither of us have played Ixion. So like that, there's no way it's making it onto our top 5. Okay. So recap, Chris had Undecember.
Yep. I
had Vampire the Masquerade, Swan Song, and Jason had Ixion. Ixion. Okay. Ixion. Now on to number 3.
Number three.
So my number 3 has already been talked about a little bit. That's Tunic. I mean, just way too freaking adorable. Where you're dying yourself. I'm not even mad. It's just too adorable.
You're just mad at yourself.
Too adorable. Yeah.
You're not like you could be mad at how hard that game is, but you're more mad at yourself for letting that poor little fox down.
Yep. Poor little foxy. But yeah, it's super adorable, super fun. And as kind of Jason kind of gone through on his review, it gets pretty in depth. Like the story behind it and everything is just crazy. And trying to figure out the in-game manual of it just not being translated at all. It's just in this old made-up language, trying to figure things out.
I don't think it's made up. I think there's an actual cipher out there that you can find because I'm pretty certain that they would have made a real language.
Oh yeah. Well, yeah, but like it's their own language, I think.
Yeah. They made it up. It is a made up language, but it's like it's a real language. Like that's one of the great things that I really enjoy with like some fantasy tellers and whatnot when they make up a language. Like Tolkien made the Elven language.
Tolkien made elves.
Yep.
So
well, yeah, but I mean like it wasn't just random gibberish though. Like he actually made a language and then put that into the book. And when they talked in that language. And he was one of the first people to do that. And there's a lot of people that do that now. Brandon Sanderson does it. George R. R. Martin does it, if I remember right too. Like a lot of the big ones that are really good with world building
and all that stuff.
Yeah, they all do that, and it's great. It's a sign of good storytelling and a sign of good writing. So, I think I got no problem with Chris putting that as number 3 on his list. It was a good game. It's just that there were other games that I played, and it's just like, you know what? There were some other things that I think edged it out, but that's still a very solid game to put on there. So,
yep,
nice. We're gonna have another year where we're not arguing, aren't we?
So far, we're not mad.
Yeah, I'm not mad at any of them, because hearing Jason talk about Ixion before, like on the last couple episodes of the podcast, I was like, this game sounds dope.
Yeah, and even like looking at the game before it came
Yeah.
out, I'm like, this game looks dope.
It looks good. I just don't have the time to play it now, and Jason already played it, so I don't have to worry about reviewing it for the podcast. Which is another reason why our lists will tend to be different, is because we don't always have the time to continually like play the same games as the other like two guys. So we'll have a game that we play, and then everyone's like, well, I don't have to play that for the podcast now, so maybe I'll get to it in a couple of years. All right. Okay. My number 3 is, I think this is a game that neither of you guys played, and I streamed quite a bit of it. I streamed the entirety of the game, and it was this is the most interesting game of 2023. It might even be the most interesting game that I played in a while, and that's Immortality. I think Jason's mad about this one now.
Boo.
Boo.
I get it.
The mechanics were great. It was a really compelling story. Figuring out puzzle-wise how to link to get to other things, because you sit there and you think that it's just like one of the big things that I realized is that like I can click a candelabra, or I can click the clacker before and after a scene, like things like that. It wasn't just like people. Like, you didn't try and track just people. You tried to track information going through. And it was a very well done game. The acting on this game is top fucking notch. Like, they did an amazing job acting. The mocap on it was really well done too. And the weirdness that starts to happen, I think what was really cool is that they kept it just vague enough to keep you interested the entire time, without like throwing it in your face to where you then start going down a rabbit's hole of like all these other things. You figure out a couple of like tells of when something's going to happen, of when you should rewind, and then all of a sudden it clips to a different way on the track. But for the most part, it was really, really interesting the way that they did it, the way that the storytelling was done, and the general concept of it. And especially the Tonight Show style one that they did, which was, I think, the longest out of all the pieces that they had, where it just kept going, and every time that you rewound, the video degraded more and more, and it made it really hard. And they just were continually doing this interview with their Johnny Carson and going through like who they are. And like once you found that one, you're just like, holy shit, this entire thing is way different than what the game like originally shows. And all of the unexplained deaths and so on and so forth, it was I loved it. I thought it was a great game. Jason, you didn't play it, so you can't talk shit about it.
I didn't play it because I tried playing it. And I'll be fair, like 100%. Like I tried getting into it because a lot of people raved about this, and I 1000% agree that their mechanic, what they built, their puzzle mechanic, is really good. I personally couldn't get into the actors very well, and I was constantly reminded of an old Sega Genesis Scooby-Doo mystery game, where it was kind of like the same premise, where you'd come to a scene, someone would act out, and you'd have to click somewhere on the screen to find the next clue and stuff like that. Obviously, nowhere near as complicated as what in-depth Immortality is.
Yeah,
and of course, I mean, there's definitely layers there, and I'll concede to that. But to me, it was just like my game was me like this 80% of the time, and I was just like, I didn't like, and again, didn't play all the way through. I was like, this isn't for me.
100%. I will admit, this game may not have been as entertaining if I wasn't streaming it when I did. But when I did it, I streamed and I was talking with chat. Like, this was very much, and I will say that like having that aspect in it now is a big thing. Like, streamability for a game and the interaction with the audience and everything like that. This is a great streaming game. Like, and especially as long as you get people that don't come in and fucking spoil stuff or like sit there and blatantly did like no backseaters. If people just come in and they watch it unfold and they just chat with you about it, like, that made the game. Even people that came in and knew a lot, like knew more about what was going on, they kept it kind of low key and they were just like chatting along with it. I had tons of fun playing it. I loved it. It was a great game, great story. It was definitely what's his name, Chris Judge, the guy that did Kratos. Like he had his work cut out for him getting that like best acting, because the girl that does everything in this was top notch. She did an amazing job with it, and so hands down, it was a great fucking game. And again, like I said, this is the one that I was like back and forth with Tunic between whether it should be 3 and 5, and I had it 5 initially, and I was like, you know what, no, it goes to number 3, primarily just because of the mechanics. That's what really pushed it over. Your turn, Jason.
Okay, I wasn't sure if you were gonna say that. So that's why this is why, explicitly why, I am more mad than anything else, because number 3 is obviously Tunic, because that's mine as well.
Which is funny. We actually would have had a clean sweep of Tunic at number 3.
Yeah. It's just because it's just like, now I'm even more mad because it's just like, yeah, that's a cool mechanic. But I'm sorry, neither of you have mentioned, but the puzzles in Tunic are next level to anything you could ever possibly.
They're great puzzles.
Like, it's just like the depth of the puzzles of some of this game is so off the wall, so out there. That's just like, oh, is that what that little scribble means? Is that what that's all about? And that's just like, there's no way this is what they're trying to do. This is just like, I'm pulling this out of my ass. Nope, that solved it. It's just like insane. And
you became an archaeologist.
End game puzzles were beyond anything that I think even someone just sitting down there and being like, I'm going to figure this out without filling out like an old school Myst like notebook with all of your notes and shit like that. Like it just would have been possible. Like, and that's just it. That's what I loved so much about Tunic, because you're right. Everything that you guys said is 100% true with it. It is a great game, fun game, adorable fox, storylines there, Zelda style with Dark Souls hardness, and then great exploration, and the puzzles. The puzzles just to this day, I still think about like the wind chime puzzle, and I'll just remember that song out of nowhere in the top of my head. That's a good fucking game. That's a good fucking game.
It's a great game. I love it. That is a great game. It's top 5. I mean, top 5 by all three of us.
Should have been top 3. Yep. Should have been top 3.
I pulled an audible at the end, and you know what though? I had more fun streaming Immortality than I did Tunic. And Tunic was a fun game. It is a great game. But then I sat there and I was like, you know what? I did like Vampire the Masquerade Swan Song a little bit more too, though. So I was like, I'll put it back to number 5. So, but hey, solid game. I'm not mad at anybody putting it up at 3. I'm like, sure, like that's a good game.
Because we're right.
All right. So Tunic for Chris, Immortality for me, and Tunic for Jason. And we could have had a clean sweep, but I pulled an audible at the end.
Almost. We're almost all in sync.
Daft Boy Trunks has just raided the stream with 4 viewers. Hide your kids.
Okay, this is where we're getting into the nitty gritty. We're on number 2. Number 2, everybody.
The poopy one.
This is the number 2, but not number 2 in a bad way. This is Second Banana. This is almost made it, but didn't quite get the biscuit. So, Chris, what's your 2?
My number 2 is another super adorable game, Beacon Pines.
Super adorable.
Yep, super adorable. And I like the kind of mechanic of it where as you kind of go along, you find these different kind of charms that you can place in a book to kind of branch the story off. And so as you're kind of going through, you're seeing all the different timelines of like what different happens. So you're putting things together that the main character hasn't. And you're seeing like all the kind of creepiness of this new industry coming in, and like this underground bunker, and just the people acting kind of weird and all that kind of stuff. All in this super adorable kind of like hand-drawn, like picturesque setting.
Have you done the review on that yet? I don't remember you.
Yeah, he did.
I remember you talking about it. No, I remember talking about it.
I don't think I.
Oh yeah, he didn't give it a score.
No.
Chris, what's your score?
We can expect you. Nah, should we do that now, or should we reserve so you can do a full review for it for next episode?
No, if he made it number 2 for the year, he needs to give it a score.
True. He should have a score.
No, if he made it number 2 for the year, he has to give it a score. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Chris, what is your score for
Beacon
Pines?
I'll give it 9 out of 10.
9 out of 10.
9 out of 10. Hot damn. Hot damn.
That's right. I forgot that he hadn't given it a numerical score yet because he hadn't quite
Yeah.
finished it. It wasn't quite at the, or he wasn't quite at the giving it a score range.
Yep.
So, all right, Beacon Pines. Okay. My number 2 is another free game on a subscription service, but not Game Pass, surprisingly. And that is Stray. This game is amazing. Graphically, beautiful. Story-wise, amazing. It took so many turns that like I didn't expect within it. It also had a lot of cool little Easter eggs built into it as well. Like the whole Back to the Future Easter egg was just fucking amazing. The fact that they had Marty and he was wearing like the full-on outfit, and they had Doc Brown, and you were trying to do all like that portion was so fucking great. I loved it. It was very much tugs at your heartstrings, like especially like trying to save as many of the robots as you can. Spoiler alert, there's some robots you just can't save, but the cat has to get out. And watching like just like that cat just fall. Oh yeah, there we go. See, so Foxy just put a clip from when I streamed it, and this is the main reason why this didn't get number 1. The main reason this game didn't get number 1 is I broke the game and I fell through the world at one point. Doing something innocuous as having a robot pet me. All of a sudden my cat turned perpendicular to the ground to where its butt was on the ground and its legs were sticking straight out, like parallel to the ground, and then I just fell through the earth. There were a couple of times where I had some glitches and weirdness going on with the game that caused issues with it. So that was like basically like the main reason. It wasn't like 100% polished. It still needed a little bit of work. But the fact that like the PC version of it, that they embraced the mod community and they're like, yeah, you want to put your own cat in it? Sure. There you go. Like, we don't care if you guys are modding it and putting your own cat in it. That's amazing. Do it. You want to put Garfield in? You want to play as a cell-shaded fat tabby cat? Go right ahead. There's no lasagna for him to eat, but you can go ahead and have him in that game. They never once like got angry or anything like that. So I loved that game. It was phenomenal. Played it start to finish on stream. That was like one of the ones that I made sure that I finished. Just I wanted to get to the end of it, and it was an amazing game. I loved the shit out of it. Hands down, highly recommend. If you have a PS5 or a PS5. I don't think it's on PS4.
No, I don't think it's on PS4.
But it's on PlayStation Plus if you have a PS5. So if you have a PS5 and you have PlayStation Plus, which you should, just like Game Pass, if you have a PlayStation, you should have PlayStation Plus. Even going with the fact that like you back up your save data, just in case something happens, which, knock on wood, I don't want anything happening to my PS5. But just in case, you back up your save data. Plus, now you get all the free games, which they dropped in June. So you get a ton of free games and all sorts of stuff. And this is one of only like a couple of games that they had for day one free. But definitely, highly recommend playing it. Pick it up on PC, pick it up on PlayStation, whatever you want to do. Play the shit out of this game. Fantastic.
You're not wrong, Eric. It is a fantastic game, easily a very enjoyable game. Tugs at your heartstrings, great storyline, a lot of enjoyable, beautiful, all that good stuff like that. It is not number two level stuff, man. That the end of the day, your game here is one button and moving around, and very simplistic puzzle solving and very simplistic overall like game style that you're going through. Beautiful as it is, 100%. But like, just like my gripe that I have with Immortality is just like, I'm not here to just watch a thing or just do a simple stuff. I want to play a game that's going to be engaging and taking me through a whole lot. Plus, you know, it is a one and done game. It is 1,000% a one and done game.
It is. I don't put replayability always in there. Like, replayability is definitely that. But when it comes to narrative games, like, you can't be like, oh, you know, like, that was a great narrative game. There's no replayability for it. You're not going to do that because there's so many things that you go through and you're just like, oh shit. But it was an amazing game. I actually enjoyed the fact that you were nice and calm, and then all of a sudden shit got real fast paced and you were being chased and you had to do all sorts of stuff. I thought it was a fun ass game. Whether you liked it or not, I really don't care.
No, I love the shit out of the game. Don't get me wrong there at all. What I'm saying is I'm disagreeing with you on your level 2. No, obviously this is all of us being able to say our own things. You're not wrong. I can't be like, no, you should have definitely done that. You're wrong about Tunic. You're definitely wrong about Tunic. But you can definitely put in Stray. You can put in Stray however you want. I'm just like I'm kind of surprised. That's what I'm saying. It's like I'm just kind of surprised because just like what this thing was, and especially in the games that we have played. Like I know a lot of the games you've played, and I'm actually very well surprised. If it did strangle out a different game for you that you played, and this was some of your highlights, obviously at level 2, level, I can see level, at number 2 for the year, that's surprising to me, is what I'm saying. I'm just like, it's simplistic, but
I looked at it.
Got you.
As what sticks with me. And that's like one of the things that Beacon Pines, like, it's not always like the latest game that we played. And that's one of the things that I like the most is that we usually like sit there and we make sure that we go through and we list out everything that we played. And we have like a huge list of it. And then I go through and I remembered like the emotions that I felt playing the game story-wise and like what I really enjoyed about it. And usually if I remember how much enjoyment I got out of it 5 to 6 months later, after I've played a bunch of other games and whatnot, that's when I'm like, okay, yeah, maybe it really is that. So I think that it did enough for me on the storyline, and I am very big on story. Like we've talked about this, like that's my normal like driving force for it. It's why I don't play a lot of repetitive games for it. I gotta have a good story that I'm following, and once it gets dry and done, I'm over with it. So this game had a great story. So. All right.
I'll agree with that.
Jason, number 2.
All right, number 2 for me. I'm sorry, guys, but I got to go down there. I got to go now. For me, it's just like, where did I spend my time this last year? And I spent a lot of time in a few games, and 2 of them have been fighting for these 2 spots here, and it's impossible to ignore because at well over a couple hundred hours, not a couple hundred, just shy of a couple hundred, I should say, hours, is Elden Ring. I sat there with this game being like, I absolutely hate this game. I don't like this game. I'm not a big fan of these Souls games like this, like crazy. I don't like how I don't have much of a story like all the time, stuff like that. And I kept saying that for almost 200 hours. So it's just like, obviously the game's there. The game's got a lot going on to it. I think it won all kinds of bullshit. Let
me ask you a question, Jason. When you say that, did you ever hate play the game?
No, never hate.
Okay, so and that's a difference between like that type of game, because there's a lot of people like somebody that rated into us that hate plays Souls games with a passion, no matter how much he says it. I know that he hate plays it because I call him out on it every fucking time that he's doing it. But as long as you could say that you didn't hate play that game, then that means that you enjoyed it. Like right. You say you don't like Souls-like games and whatnot. You play a lot of them though.
I play a whole lot of them. I like combat, so I like playing the combat and jazz like that. And this one though, like I never would have given any of the Dark Souls games a high score or anything like that. Even some of the Soul-like games I've played, I don't really ever like. I enjoy them. I enjoy the challenge. Let's just say. But Elden Ring just did a great job of being like, hey, there's challenge, but then also it's an open world, and you can make the challenge as hard or as easy as you want to by just going somewhere else. Where Dark Souls just like, get good, fucker. And it's just like, all right, well, Elden Ring still has that, but it's just like, get good, fucker, or go get good elsewhere and figure out your shit better. And so you can go somewhere and practice. You can go somewhere and play. You can go somewhere and just have fun sometimes, because that's what you really want to do in a game.
Yeah,
is just have fun sometimes. And the amount of exploration that you could do is one of my favorite things.
It was a huge world.
Such a huge world. And then, the multiple layers to the world and different dimensions that you go to and all that stuff like that. Really well done. I mean, the storyline, sure, but it's not to be expected. And for me, this is 1000% like the reason why it's landed in number 2 is because the storyline is meh as far as storylines go, but the amount of time I spent in this game just for fun.
I will say, so 2 things that I know of. I haven't played the game, but I know of that from what people told me is the storyline is way better and more fleshed out and easier to access than
1000%.
Dark Souls games. It's not all hidden in like item like descriptions and shit like that. Yeah. You don't have to go on the internet. Yeah, you don't have to go on the internet to do it. And you can figure out what the story is on it, which is a big leg up for them. Like that's just
and different branches. Like
Yeah.
there is storylines. There's different branches, and you can find them out on your own by just following your quests, whichever one you feel more comfortable with. And there's a forgiveness system and all kinds of stuff. It was a much more accessible of a game than any of the Souls titles have been whatsoever, and then much more like enjoyable to play at the end of the day. Like I've never enjoyed multiplayer in any of the Souls games, whether being raided or playing with a friend or anything like that. Never enjoyed them. This one I did. I probably spent a lot of time like being raiding into people, playing with a friend, just dueling, being like, hey, I'm a samurai that's like all dumb sword boy, and you're a smart magic man. Let's fight. Let's do it. And then they were balanced enough that it was possible and it was fun. And that's really interesting to me.
I do like that there's DLC coming, because they have the whole Coliseum expansion coming along with it.
Yep.
And story-wise, I guess it really did pay to get George R.R. Martin to come in and help write stuff for it.
I didn't give a shit. Like, it was just like, okay, whatever. I went with the blue. I can't even remember I can't even see it. This is why I'm saying this. I can't even remember the name of any of these people. I can't remember the name of the person the lady that I sacrificed or whatever.
Jason, we watch anime where we can't remember any of the characters' names.
Well, we can remember the ones that matter. Get in the fucking mech, Shinji.
Yes,
we know it because we love it. But here I am. The blue lady is the storyline that I went through. I
Rainy the
went
Witch.
Back and forth. Yeah, I went back and forth
Avatar.
with going with the black lady that you hug all the time, because I just loved that sequence of events, and her whole storyline was fun, including her final boss battle was really fun too. But I don't care to go back through it all again.
Hey, you know what? So we said, like, it's not always AAA titles. It's a AAA title. It's fine. Like it's like that. I'm not gonna say like you're wrong because of that. It's because it was a good game. And it's not again. It's not to say that Ragnarok is a bad game. We just haven't played it because we played other games. And I like the fact that we don't always just like jump on what's stream worthy or what the buzz fucking games are or anything like that. Like, I enjoy playing the games that I want to play. And I mean, there were a lot of games like the oh god, I always forget the name of it because I always want to say it backwards. The Cruel King and the Great Hero. I always want to say the Great Hero and the Cruel King. The Cruel King and the Great Hero is not a game that by any means anyone's going to pick up on, but it was an amazing story, and that's why I was like, that's an honorable mention. It's a great one. And I played a lot of like NIS games that aren't going to get any traction, but I played those over other AAA title games because they were the games that kind of resonated with me, and I'm like, I wanted to play that. And that's where like we get sent a ton of stuff for review consideration, and we pick and choose what we want to play. We look at it and we're like, I want to play that. And then we'll put in a request for it. And if we don't get it, we don't get it. But in a lot of cases, they understand that we're choosy enough. Like, our PR reps understand that we're picky and choosy enough on what we want to do, that they know that we're going to get it, and we'll talk about it, whether it's good or bad. But we'll actually play it. Like, we don't sit there and request every fucking game and only play like 2/3 of them or 1/3 of them or anything like that. We get it, we talk about it, we stream it, we're done. Okay. Here it is. We're on the top. We're number one games of the year. So
22.
The 2022 again. We did it. It's only games that came out in 2022. We have done it in the past where we were like, but I played this game that came out 3 years ago and I really wanted to be there. And we made sure that, like, we set ground rules a couple of years ago. No, it has to be new games only because it's unfair.
Which is why the game I played on my birthday, where I cried on, is not on this list.
Okay. So game number 1. Chris, what is your number 1?
So this is one we got a review copy for. It's a interesting puzzle game, The Entropy Center.
Oh, wow. Wow, nice.
So this is one like where, I played through the whole game, I streamed some of it, and I beat the game. And I immediately had to go online and try to look up, see what people's thoughts on it were, and what they were kind of feeling, like predictions or whatever, theories. Because it's very much like Portal, where rather than creating portals, you're just rewinding time on objects. You got different ones that can have you jump, or just blocks, or kind of do different kind of things. And your gun talks to you, but it's not like overbearing. Little quips here or there, trying to figure out the story of why are you the only one here? Where is everybody? What happened? Like, and trying to rewind the Earth so it doesn't go boom, because there's go boom.
Yes, it's true. What did Sean say when he was posting or sending us emails and whatnot?
He verbatim just said Earth go boom.
Yeah, I was gonna say like Earth go boom, and then there was one other one, but I forget what it was. But the Earth go boom was the one that sticks out in my head.
Yeah, because like he was, kind of following up, see, where we're at with our kind of view and kind of generic kind of touch base, and was like, so I kind of wrote like back an email trying to be all like coy and stuff like that and waxing poetic, and he just replies, "Earth go boom."
Oh man, there is a reason why we work with Evolve.
Yeah. But yeah, so it was really kind of interesting, kind of trying to figure out what the kind of story is here and kind of the history and why kind of unravel everything, and then some of the security bots trying to kill you, except for E, who is named E because it has a post note on it that says E. That as you kind of read, because that one kind of helps you as you kind of read through like some of the emails and stuff like that, try to unravel some of the story. One guy's like, "Hey, I think the bots are getting like sentience." So I found one was just give me like side eye. So I put a post note that says E on it, so you know which one I'm talking about. And they're like, no, everything's fine. They're not getting sentience.
Sure, they're not gaining sentience.
Yeah, sure.
That's what they want you to
and
think.
You can actually pet this one, so you can pet the little cute robot.
Hey, if you wanted to give somebody a false sense of security, what would you do?
Let me pet you.
Yep. No, it's cool. I'm totally nice. Don't worry about it. You can pet me. Go ahead and pet me. It's cool.
Which E was actually kind of nice, as the other ones that were dicks. Because something happened, like with the power kind of like that, and their security protocol changed. And so they saw you as a threat and tried to kill you. And so you're you're just kind of running away from them or using your gun to kind of destroy them. Because of like shoot thing, and you can kind of rewind that back to them. Or you can just pick them up and sneak up and pick them up and toss them. But I had a really good time with it. I enjoyed the story. I don't know where it'll go in the future. But, who knows? They could go back in the past or something and do some interesting things with it. So
Could do an alternate reality.
Yeah. Which...
Like, Earth does go boom.
Alert.
Then what?
Spoiler alert. Earth go boom many times. You save Earth many times. Earth continue goes boom. And you kind of see all the different kind of paths.
So is it like a... like an Armageddon type thing of where like or not Armageddon, but like the Skynet Armageddon from Terminator, it's gonna happen regardless. All you're doing is delaying it.
Yep, because this like catastrophic event is one they've tried to fix, but they can't fix it. It keeps happening. Because they just kind of go through, you learn things like, oh, they saved the bees, or they saved this animal from extinction, or they stopped this kind of catastrophic event from happening. But apparently this one just keeps happening. And they can't seem to correct it.
See, when they added that into the lore of Terminator, I thought that was one of the best things, because it's like you sat there and you got Terminator 2, and they stopped it, and they like melted everything down, and you thought that it was end. And then when they announced Terminator 3, you're like, wait, this doesn't make sense. How can they do this? Like they altered the timeline, and it has to do with alternate futures and past and blah, blah, blah. But the ultimate end result was that you never can stop the robot uprising. You just delay it. You continually delay it. And it gets to a point to where you can't delay it anymore, and it's going to happen. And that's actually like one of the cooler things that I think that they did with the Terminator, like, storyline for it. So that's really cool that they did that. It's like, no. It's going to happen eventually. Earth go boom.
Earth go boom.
I mean, let's be honest, it's true.
It is true.
Like, no matter what.
Yeah.
No matter what, Earth gonna go boom at some point. Or Earth gonna go shatter, absorb from the star going supernova.
What I'm pulling from this, though, is that Eric just brought in that Arnold Schwarzenegger signing a 6-film contract to make Terminator movies is the sign of the end times and the apocalypse. That's the connection that I'm making there.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Yep.
Yeah. And I will say, Arnold Schwarzenegger looks damn good for how old he is. Shannon and I started watching Tulsa King with Sylvester Stallone. And we were like sitting there watching it, and at one point, like, he hooks up with this like 40-something-year-old ATF agent, and she tells him how old he is, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm 75." And we're like, whoa. Is Sly really that old? And we pulled up like, holy shit, he's 76. He looks damn good for 76. Yeah. And he's moving around real damn good for 76. But we were both just like, fuck. Like those guys.
Amazing what surgery and being able to not have to work every day and just focus on and working out. Working
out and whatnot. Like that's definitely like the thing. And they always say, like, you know, you continue to work out, and you see some people that are in their like mid 60s that are still highly mobile, running marathons, doing acrobatics and shit like that. But it's very much like, for a guy that big, somebody that like has definitely done some damage to his body when he is lifting, to be able to like move around and be that mobile at 76, like, that's the thing. My dad is in his late 70s, and he definitely ain't nowhere near as mobile as Sylvester Stallone is. I will say that hands down right now. All right. Okay. I think that's good, Chris. I think that's a really good, like, it's a solid choice. You had very good reasoning behind it too. So, like, you know, good job. Okay. My number one, I think Jason's already called it. It's like in his head. He knows what it is. This might actually be the first time that we have had a sequel and an original in a top 5 list. And that is A Plague Tale Requiem. So, A Plague Tale was, I think it was number 2 on my list for 2018, 2019. I forget what year it was, whenever it first came out. It was an amazing game.
Definitely had it up there.
I didn't know, like, I didn't think that they'd be, especially where they ended off. I'm like, I don't know where they're going to be able to go story-wise. I don't know how they're going to be able to top, like, what happened in this, because that game was, like, hands down, an amazing fucking game. A Plague Tale Requiem, like, takes the story and the feels and, like, cranks it up to 12. And you get to a point so you're actually not halfway, about 2/3 of the way through the game, where you're like, okay, when they did this in the first game, you started getting to this area, you started getting into how fucking corrupt the Pope is, and like how fucked everything really is, and that people know about this whole plague, and they're just trying to weaponize it as much as possible. How could they possibly jump the shark even more? Oh, they kill everybody in the game. And I mean everyone. If you watched me stream this game, at one point they slit your mom's throat in front of you after you lose a duel to the Count, while she's tied to a stake with burning like pyres around her. They slit her throat, and you get like handily beat by the Count after he fucking just beat the shit out of you, dislocated your shoulder, chased you around that fucking area, and still gave you a handicap against him with a giant fucking 2-handed sword with one good arm. And you hold your own. You have to really hold your own, and that's a pain in the ass to like continue on with that. And they're like, okay, so what else can we do? Okay, well, you'll rescue the guy that you ended up giving away, and he ends up being a good guy and whatnot. Okay, yeah, he dies. And then the very fucking end of the game, shit you not, there's no happy ending to this game. at all. Spoiler alert, cover your ears. You have this is your chance if you haven't played the game and you don't want to know what it is, because I didn't stream the end of this game. So you end up having to kill your little brother.
Good.
At the end of the game. He succumbs because the count basically deals a fatal wound to the sister, and they miraculously like bring her, like keep her alive so that she can go through, and then they give her like fucking opium. they basically give her a vial of opium. They're like, here you go, this will numb the pain and you can keep moving on. And she goes through, but the kid's so distraught at the loss of his sister, the loss of his mother. He's the only one. And they're like, oh yeah, we're going to use this. It's going to be great. We're going to kill some people, but we're going to be able to control him. Yeah, they couldn't control shit. He creates this giant fucking hurricane of just rats. And I mean, like, it's a hurricane of rats and destruction that emanates from the port in this city and just fucking decimates it. And you have to go through this whole thing. There's like this whole side story at the end of it of giving up. And your character has to acknowledge that there's nothing that she can do about it, and she can't control or fix anything. And like, you're used to playing a game where you go through and you fight tooth and nail, and you try to do it, and you fight and you fight and you fight, and you're like fighting off all these hordes of rats and everything like that, and you keep getting dropped off back at another area because you didn't succeed, and you're like, what the fuck did I do wrong? And the kid's telling you, is like, you need to give up. There's nothing you can do about it. You have to understand that you cannot win, and that this is just how it's going to be. And your character has to willingly give up and stop fighting.
Fantastic.
So then the brother's like on the tree, and then you have to wind up your fucking sling, and it slow winds the sling, and you have to aim, and then you have to let go of the mouse and just watch. And they did the slowest rock sling that you've ever seen in this game. And it's not like in slow-mo, but it definitely felt a hell of a lot slower when it went off, of just bang, hit the kid in the head, kill him. And then that ends. That's the end of the game. And they did do like a post-credit scene to where they can extend the story on, but it was really hard to tell whether it was a still Victorian style era thing, because she talks about how she's going to continue to move on and she's going to try and help the next plague bearer and his protector, because there's like the whole lore that you uncover within that. But in the post-credits scene, it definitely sounded like there was a breathing machine. But all you saw was a baby. You saw a baby that had the mark on it, but I swear I heard a breathing machine at the end of it. So I think that the next one's going to be modern day, which I think will be amazing. They've done an amazing job story-wise. They've done an amazing job gameplay-wise. Graphically, it's awesome. It was very hard to run NVIDIA Broadcast Stream and play this game at good settings on my PC, even though I have a 3060 and a 3600. But take out the streaming aspect for it, I had no issues whatsoever with this game. It ran solid. It was really well done. Every now and then I had issues, but I chop it up to the fact that it's trying to, every time that I had issues getting through an area, it was mechanically trying to control thousands of rats at the same time and run them in a sporadic pattern. So every now and then, like, I'd go through an area that the first time that I ran through it, I could run through without getting hit by rats, but I get hit by rats. But beyond that, though, it was an amazing fucking game. It was engaging. It was beautiful. It was a sad, heart-wrenching, but also like amazing story. Loved it. Highly recommend.
Both of these games. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, highly recommend. Like, honestly, this is probably a 10 out of 10. I hadn't given it a score yet. 10 out of 10. Amazing, beautiful game. It's free on Game Pass. You can't play Innocence anymore on Game Pass, but you can play this. 100% recommend playing both of them. And this is an amazing fucking game. It should have won more awards at the Game Show Awards, and I think it didn't because of the fact that it's not fully a AAA title. The first game was very much an indie developed piece, and it's only considered a AAA because of just they got more backing. But it's still not even like a full on AAA. This is a still what I would consider an indie-ish game, just with a little bit more money behind it.
This game's been on my list for a long ass time, and every time I look anything about it, looks amazing. So totally get it.
I was pissed when I couldn't stream it, like the first time that I tried to stream it in October, and then I had to go through an update and do all sorts of stuff to make sure that I could get it working. But yeah, hands down, everyone should play it. All right, Jason.
All right,
Number
I'll
one.
keep mine simple. We'll keep it
home.
simple. Number one here. Number one, again, for me, it was just like, where did I just enjoy my time over the last year? It's been a shit year. Games have been what's been saving us and stuff like that. And for me, really at the end of it, like, it was just the perfect package of 2022, in my opinion. And that is
wait, whoa, hang on a second. That could go very many different ways.
Yeah.
Oh God. Okay.
Swallow that phrasing down, Eric, because it is a perfect package of Horizon Forbidden West. To me, it had storyline, had gameplay, had graphics, had cinematic, had character, had heart, had it all. Is it better than the first one? There's arguments to be made there. Did they improve a lot on the first one? They sure did. It was definitely an enjoyable game. Platinuming this game was very much enjoyable. There's stuff I didn't like as far as like your weapon upgrade processes, and there was never that like ultimate gear that you could get. You can tell they're trying to set it up to be more of like a, not as a games as a service option, but definitely I know multiplayer is coming out here soon, and then expanding this world even more. This is a good start off bridge for it. I really am hoping to see more of the narrative into the number 3 that they're going to be making, because it's definitely
oriented to straight up DLC.
Yeah, the DLC is coming, but the narrative will be about the world building, not about the actual storyline that's coming out. Storyline's coming from space. Spoiler. So that'll be the thing that's coming there. Space. But it was fun. I just enjoyed every bit of it. It was satisfying, enjoyable, just like the first one. Moved right into the second one. The game picks up right after the first one, so you're just moving right along. I mean, I love the continuity of that. I love the storyline elements of it. The characters you still very much care for. They did a great job of bringing them all back, having them interact with you guys, and grow. You didn't just bring in the characters or get new ones and have the same situation. The idea was growth for everybody. And, Aloy was always just like, I'm alone in this mission. I'm just going to do it. Here she was now finally being like, no, I need help. And let's start bringing people into this thing that can hopefully fight as well.
I like that, because in the first one, yeah, she definitely was by herself.
Oh yeah,
like that's like that is a very like big thing. Like she was 100% by herself, and she was a lone wolf going off and doing that. So I like that.
She did that all by a purpose. And the game it's not like it's a multiplayer game.
She was the redheaded stepchild of the.
She was
of the village.
Literally was
literally. Like right there.
So, I mean,
Yep.
So this one is just like, now she's building up her own village in essence, in the world of what it is, and the progression of what you're doing with Gaia and building that back the world. It's really interesting. It's Horizon just blew me away, and Forbidden West continue that trend. So I mean, I am eagerly anticipating number 3 whenever that does come out. Any DLC as well. It's hard to beat for me. It was just such an enjoyable game.
I mean, it looks amazing. I again, that was another one of the ones that's like, Jason played it, so I didn't have like any immediate need to play it. So that's where it's like, and then it just kind of like fell to the wayside for it. I still need to play that game. I want to play that game because the original one was amazing.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you did a good job.
Yeah, great game. I actually really need to pick up the original one again. I have it. I can play it on the PS5. It'll probably run a hell of a lot smoother. Less loading screens and whatnot on that. But yeah, I'm very much looking forward to replaying that game and playing the sequel for it. So that's, I think Horizon was on one of our lists before.
Oh yeah, for sure. Oh yeah,
sure.
Horizon was.
I'm trying to remember
5.
with because Horizon came out when we were doing the podcast, so we definitely had that on there. So we had 2 sequels this year that made it on. Mine was first. I did it first. You're a follower. No, but
Sure.
but both great games. Like the originals were amazing, and then the second one was amazing as well. I would say though that like I don't have a question that the story was even better in the second one for mine. And what you were saying of like character progression, they did the complete opposite character progression with it. They showed just how much rage these two kids were filled with after the sequences of the first game and everything that started happening to them in the second game. Like they thought that they were supposed to be going into like a nice calm area, and they didn't, and both of the characters were just filled with rage the entire time. And I would say that Requiem, like that was the main symbolism was rage between them. Like that was the main.
So
emotion.
despite all that rage, though.
Yeah, they were still just
in the cage.
No, they were rats out of the cage.
All right. Were they? Were they though?
Still
a cage
rat
in
hurricane.
society.
Well, there were rats out of the cage, but they were rats in a cage. I actually, hilariously enough, that song Ronan was like reciting some of the lyrics from it for some fucking reason.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why, because I played enough Smashing Pumpkins for him. And I was like, "Do you know what the name of that song is, buddy?" And he's like, "No." And I was like, "It's Bullet with Butterfly Wings." And Shannon just like legit, my wife just looks at me and she's like, "I thought it was always called Rat in a Cage." And I'm like, "Nope, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, sweetheart."
No, honey.
No.
So, Chris, what was your go through your list? Just name them off 5 through 1.
5 through 1.
Okay. 5 was V Rising. 4 was Undecember. 3 was Tunic. 2 was Beacon Pines, and 1 was the Entropy Center.
All right. So for me, 5 was Tunic. 4 was Vampire the Masquerade's Swan Song. 3 was Immortality. 2 was Stray. And 1 was A Plague Tale, Requiem.
And then
No,
finally
Your
for
Kill?
me,
Do
what was
what?
it?
No, Your Kill.
No, Eurokill was that game. I didn't know where to fucking put that game on this. I looked at that game and I was like, I don't know where, like, was it innovative gameplay? No. Was the storyline fucking bonkers? Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know where to put that game at all. Was the game actually? It was innovative gameplay because of the fact that it combined so many different styles of gameplay. It was right up there with Nier Automata. Like as far as like it didn't do nearly as many styles as Nier did, but it was a mixture of a bunch of ones. That was like that could have been like an honorable mention, something that got like really close up there. Anyways, Jason.
My top 5. Number 5, Cult of the Lamb. Number 4, Ixion. Number 3, correctly, is Tunic. Number 2 was Elden Rings. And number 1 was Horizon Forbidden West.
Jason is so bitter that we didn't have a clean sweep of Tunic at number 3.
Like,
so bitter.
Knowing that you had that other game, I don't even remember the name of it because it's trash.
Immortality.
Being at number 3 instead was number 1 bad. But then once I realized that, especially after hearing Chris say his number 3, I was just like, you motherfucker, we had it.
We had it. We had a clean sweep. And then I called an audible right at the end because I sat there. I'm like, man, I'm back and forth, and I don't know. Fucking, I'm doing it. And I'm no takesies backsies. It's done. Like 4 minutes before the podcast started, I did this.
Hand to God, he did do this. He did do this. He didn't say what the titles were, otherwise I'd have been upset then. But he was like, I'm switching my 5 and 3. And I was like, all right, I don't know.
All right, whatever. You're a fucking moron anyway, so who gives a shit?
100% was going on.
Oh, we have a
So
hydrate.
close.
Hydrate, everybody.
I drank already. I did it. I saw it. I got it. I'll do another one. Why not?
I think I did one already when I did it, but now I'm going to say it, so we have it. All right.
Yeah.
So thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us for the IBIF First podcast, especially for our year in review, 2022. This is the 11th year for IBIF First as a whole. Chris wasn't with us at the beginning, but he joined I think it was like right at the beginning of 2013, end of 2012, something like that. And Jason and I have been around since 2011, doing stuffs. writing
I
articles.
bought the domain and built the website in 2010.
Yeah.
So
writing articles, doing things, doing stuffs. Yep. We've all grown up. We've all gotten older, unfortunately. And we've all moved on to jobs that probably aren't going to let us go to E3, unfortunately, this year. Which kind of sucks. That was the one bad thing about me leaving my last job, was that I technically was no longer industry. But beside that, we'd like to thank everybody for joining us. Wherever the future leads us in this. I mean, we're not getting any older, but we're also not getting any... Right, we are getting older. We're not getting any younger. Yep. But we're still going to play Vitimo games. Mentally, we're all still 12. Jason physically looks like he's 16.
18. I'm pushing 18 now.
He's pushing 18. No, you can't push 18 until you get at least 4 facial hairs.
I got my 3.
You're almost there.
Almost there. But anyways, thanks a lot for joining us, everybody. We love doing this. Again, we do most of this for charity, a lot of it for fun. But anything that we do money-wise and whatnot, we try and push towards charity. We are exactly $44.45 away from hitting our goal of $6,000 for Extra Life for the year of 2022. So we've still got a couple of weeks, and we hope that everybody can just kind of come along. We have said we are not allowed to donate this money ourselves to get this. We like all 3 of us have agreed we're not going to do it. We're not going to push forward. We want the community to come through. So if you guys have any discretionary funds, especially moving into the end of the year, definitely make sure that you put it towards anything. It doesn't have to be us. It doesn't have to be our Extra Life charity. You can put it towards anything, but just make sure that you donate and get that money that the government allows you to put in as a tax write-off. Hands down. You just need to hit that threshold if you can. Obviously, not everyone has discretionary funds, and we totally understand that, and that's A-okay. But, if you have the ability to do it, do it. Donate. But you can just go to ibeatitfirst.com and then click on the charity button up on the top right. Go. See, I got it right without having to correct myself at all. Click on the charity button. That will take you to our Extra Life page, as well as our Charity Throne account. The Charity Throne account, 100% everything you purchase goes directly to Phoenix Children's Hospital, so you can still write that off as a tax write-off at the end of the year. You just have to make sure that you keep your receipts and notate that everything is going out to Phoenix Children's Hospital, because that's the exact same as if you went to, I was going to say Toys R Us. If you went to Target, you bought a toy, and then donated it to Phoenix Children's Hospital, it's the exact same setup. But so if you go to ibeatitfirst.com, click on charity, then you'll be able to either donate to us directly through Extra Life, or donate direct to Phoenix Children's Hospital with toys. You can also make sure that you find all 3 of our podcasts on the I Beat It First network at IBIF.co, where you can watch us. You can find us on all the major podcasting platforms, or you can watch us on twitch.tv/ibeatitfirst roughly every Monday or Tuesday, where we have a new podcast episode. We will be taking a 1-week hiatus. I know it's like the longest fucking hiatus ever, until the new year starts. So we will not have a podcast next week, but make sure that you tune in at the beginning of the year, where we're going to have cutscene, where we're currently doing Akiba Maid War. Which sounds way worse than it is. It sounds like it's 100% fan service, and it's not. It's like 1% fan service, 99% action.
Yep.
So make sure that you join us on there. You can also find us Facebook, iBeatItFirst.com, Twitter, iBeatItFirst, Instagram, iBeatItFirst. We're very, very rarely on social media. We don't really do the social media game. We'll probably end up leaving Twitter anytime soon. Who knows? I know I personally am really contemplating just saying, fuck it. I hate Twitter anyways. Just close my account, delete the app from my phone. I'm just done. But
you download the app to your phone?
Well, I've had it for a long time, so that there's more than just one of us replying to tweets. However, I'm pretty much done with that fucking service. So, it is what it is. Just like I'm pretty much done with Facebook. The only reason I don't have Facebook removed is just in case there's something that I had where it needs 2-factor authentication through Facebook. I don't know what. I haven't been on there in 2 months minimum. So, but anyways, you can always find us on any of those pieces. And as always, thank you everybody for joining us. We are, again, IBIF IBIFirst.com, IBIF.co. But we can't end any podcast without Chris.
Bye-bye.
I love
2022.
The trail off there,
Yeah.
Chris. Goodbye, 2022.
Just
Recording
like the end of
stopped.
Yeah.
Just
All right.
like the end of the year.
Okay. So Dreams hates us, and we have
Yeah.
20
each.
of
Yeah.
each exercise.
I got my pajama pants on this time for
Yeah. Is it PJ Pants Gang? It is. It's PJ Pants Gang.
It's PJ Pants.
However, who here has Star Wars Imperial PJ Pants on? Only me. That's right. Only me. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay. That picture of Jason. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Right around like 10, the knee started hurting, and then I went through it after a couple, and I was fine. Chris is always squatting on Jason's face. Welcome to what happens when we're all alone. One, 2, 3,
What is this? My
4.
New Year's resolution?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay.
Yeah, that was fun seeing my face just show up. I was like, oh, there's me too.
Hey, I was laughing. I was laughing at that. I was like, oh, look, and there's just Jason with his masquerade mask on. Okay.
Yep.
He does. He loves sitting on his face. All right. So,
Yep.
who are we going to raid into, everybody? We need to raid. So, let's see here.
Light, thick.
You know what? We haven't done light in a while, so let's raid light. Okay, so we're going to raid Light Silver Star, everybody. She is an art streamer. She's amazing, extremely talented. So make sure that you say hello to her and stick around if you can. But thanks a lot, everybody, for joining us. It was an amazing year, and we love each and every one of you. Bye-bye.